it's time for foul play to get mechanized. Right here. I'm not walking anymore when I spread seed. I'm taking it the fat old man lazy way. Don't you think so, Rosie? Looks good, doesn't it?
You're watching the Foul Play YouTube channel.
Hey, what's going on, Foul Players? Today we're going to do something different for the channel anyway. We're going to do a little product unboxing, setup, installation review, that kind of thing. So, as you might have guessed from that intro clip, I got a spreader for my ATV. For spreading, I'm going to use it out at the farm to put seed down, obviously rice and millet. I'll use it around the house too. We've got about an acre here, so I want to spread some seed and fertilizer and weed killer, that kind of junk. So let me reposition a little bit, set the package down, and start cutting into it. You guys can see it along with me for the first time. All right, here we go. And in here we have, of course, a box within a box. Alright, here we have the rack-mounted all-purpose spreader, 100-pound capacity. I am not going to put 100 pounds in it, I doubt. My little four-wheeler won't handle that at all. So let's get it down here. Take a look. I did get this from Amazon. I'll include a link in the comments, just so you can see which one I got. And take that information with you. So here we go, open it up. We got a couple of support rods. I believe that's what's going to hold the unit and then attach it to the ATV. We have another box, which I'll set aside for a moment. And we have the actual hopper, which is the Buyer's ATV spreader. I saw a lot of other guys using this on Amazon. That's why I picked this one. Looked like a good balance between cost and performance. So it's got the control here, which will be control how much product comes in and out. Alright, I think it's a pretty straightforward setup. Let's open this next box. Let me reposition. Okay, now in here we have another box full of other goodies, I am sure. Packing material. This is a cover that will go over the top of it. They say a rain cover, but for me it's going to be just to keep stuff from bouncing out. I'm not going to be using this thing in the rain. The little spinner disc at the bottom that will broadcast the product. The motor, which is a motor. Feels pretty solid. And power cord. Cigarette lighter on one end. I guess this end plugs into the motor. Yep. Other end plugs into the motor. And does have a switch on it. Feels pretty solid. I think this is a cross brace for the mount that goes to the ATV. And then mounting hardware, some U-bolts. It's getting close to dark now and the ATV is still up in the back of the truck. And I have pork on the smoker, so I'm probably not going to mount it to the ATV tonight, but a bag of hardware there for getting everything mounted, also to put it together. Here's one of the reasons why I chose this one over some other ones, is this little lever here for setting it. What I gathered from watching it other videos, you can set a maximum amount here, tighten that down, and then reach out and just set it wherever you want. Tighten this guy up a little bit, put some tension on it so it holds it in place. I think I'm going to like how that works. I'm planning on putting it on the front rack of my ATV, so I don't have to reach around behind me to turn this off and on, and I can see where it's spreading. If this was a liquid sprayer that I was going to put out Roundup and stuff like that, I wouldn't do it. But with it being solid products, I think I'll be fine with it in front of me. And then this is the arm that goes between this lever and the hopper to open and control the valve to let the product out. All right, let me clean up things here, get organized, and we'll start putting it together. All right, here we go. Just a quick layout of the hardware we got with this. All of these bolts, nuts and bolts, are 10 millimeter. So I've got my 10 millimeter socket and 10 millimeter wrench handy. There are 4 shorter nuts and bolts. Those hold the motor assembly in the hopper. And then 8 longer ones, and those do a couple of different things. 4 will hold the support arms to the hopper. 2 will be used to hold this cross brace to the support arms, and then 2 will be used to hold the adjustment lever to the hopper. Actually, they will go on one of the support arms. So that's all the hardware, what it's for, and of course the arm that attaches the adjustment to the gate on the hopper. There were no instructions included with this, but if you're a duck hunter, you're probably pretty resourceful and can figure this out. Also, a grommet where the power cable comes through the inside of the hopper and comes out to connect to the switch, and then a little cotter pin here to hold the spin plate to the motor shaft. These guys out of the way, move this stuff out of the way briefly. I may go ahead and speed this up. We'll see how long it takes. I'm getting started, and it is 4:22 on December 6th. So let's see how long it takes me to put this thing together. I bet it'll take me more than 10 or 15 minutes. Quick note on putting the motor in the hopper. Let me hold this up so you can see. There is a hole offset to one side. These are the holes that will hold the motor assembly into the bin on either side. This hole obviously is on this side, so we need to make sure when we put the motor assembly in that the power cable is on that side, so it will reach through. All right. Now, to put our support arms on, we want to think about how to be oriented. In the pictures, they always show the label facing outward. So if I'm sitting on the ATV, this should be the side out that the support arms go. And I did discover, I was checking this out before I turned the camera back on, there is a specific orientation for these. These 2 holes, if this shows up well on the camera, are a little bit farther apart than these 2 holes. These are the ones that are going to attach the support arm to the hopper. These 2 are going to be for the cross brace that goes across. You have 2 locations. And then there are 2 holes here on the side. That will be what our control lever attaches to. call that good. It's not, but we're going to call it good. If that causes me some problems, I will squirt some silicone on it and just pretend like you didn't see that. Don't look. But that's it. That's as far as I'm going to take it right now, I believe. I think my pork is almost ready to come off the smoker. Man, that was simple. And time check, 4:37. So, you know, not too bad. What was it, 4:13? You know, so 24 minutes, I guess. A little longer than I thought. And, oh, my meat is ready. But, so that's as far as I'm going to take it now. I'll wait to put this on until I see which one I want to use when I get it on the four-wheeler to make sure. We'll see about mounting it up. Oh, I guess I could add the lever. Let's do that. So that is the side that the arm goes on right here. That is the arm, yes. So this will go like this, I suppose. Interesting. Oh, you know what? What did I say about the label needed to be on the other side? Yeah, I didn't do that, did I? Consequently, this arm doesn't fit. It's supposed to be here. It's supposed to be back here. So I'm going to take a pause, and through the magic of editing, we're going to come back, and it's going to magically look different. And as if by magic, they are fixed. So took a little time off camera and flipped those guys around and had some dinner. So I'm back out here, and now I'm going to put the lever on that controls the opening for the hopper. So that takes a couple more of the long bolts, which these actually do not have washers. All the other ones had washers. These do not. So I think looks like this is gonna go. No, not that way. That's gonna mount here. It's gonna mount like this. This will go in here. And in and turn. And there we go. Close. That doesn't. Looks like it works just fine. Didn't close all the way. So it's interfering with the hopper here. So do I have it assembled wrong? What's happening here? Since the hopper comes out the way these are in, it is interfering slightly. It doesn't want to. I guess I can. Yeah. Just push it all. Alright, we're back after a little pause there. The battery croaked on the GoPro in the middle of me talking about how this mechanism works. So I'm a little concerned that it interferes with the hopper right here. If you're not careful, it's not going to close all the way. There's enough slack in it. There's plenty of slop in here. I just have to remember to push it all the way forward so I don't leak seed everywhere. And also, as I look in here, it's moving enough to cover. Let me put the old man glasses on here. It's moving enough to cover the holes, but it's not a tight seal, which, you know, I probably shouldn't expect it to be with what, you know, this device costs. So we'll see how it goes. With really small seeds like millet, there may be some leakage even when I've got everything shut off. So we'll see. I mean, worst case, I just wait till I get to my spot to put seed in the hopper. That's not that big of a deal. So I'm going to do a couple things now. So I think I mentioned earlier that the power cord here comes with a 12 volt plug cigarette lighter adapter, if you're old enough to remember when cars had cigarette lighters. I don't have a cigarette lighter or 12 volt power plug on my four-wheeler, and I don't really like this style anyway. So what I'm going to do is I had one of these laying around, which is these kind of little plugs here that you know, can control the polarity. I'm going to cut the end off of this, cut this in half, splice this in. I'll solder it in and put some shrink wrap tubing over it, so that this now becomes a plug that will just plug into the other end of this. And this one, I'll put a couple of ring terminals on. Again, those get crimped down, so I'll cover them with, again, the heat shrink tubing. Get that in there, and then I'll just be able to pop the lid open. This will stay in the four-wheeler. Wish I had a cover for it, but anyway, this will stay attached. One end will stay attached to the battery on the four-wheeler, and when I'm ready, I just pop the seat off, plug this guy in, and then we're ready to go. And if I get any other things, I want to get a sprayer as well, I'll do the same setup of that. So I've always just got that interchangeably, plug things in and out quickly. If I get really fancy, maybe I'll find a plug that I can surface mount somewhere, but as small as this guy is, and it's 20-something years old, it wasn't really intended for this kind of thing, so I don't really have a dry space where I can mount one. So I'm not going to put you guys through the agony of watching me solder this stuff together. I'll switch you guys off, go get a beer, whatever you need to do, and when you come back, I'll have all this done, and I'll show you what it looks like. Okay, I think you can see here basically how this mounts to the front rack. It had those 4 U-bolts, and it just clamps down to the bars on the rack on the front here. That's okay, I guess. I mean, it's universal, so it has to be universal. Lots of extra threads on these. It didn't fit centered, not a big deal. I just offset it off to this side a little bit. I think I can reach this lever just fine to shut it off and on, and then I'll of course have the switch. You know, it's not level, it's not straight. The bolt here that holds this cross piece in place is interfering with this bar on the rack. Not a big deal. This doesn't have to be precision. It just has to hold seed and spread it. So I think it's going to be okay. It's pretty solid. You will need a deep well socket, 10mm deep well socket, unless you want to get real friendly with a box wrench and screw these in. That's about 1.25 inches of extra thread, at least on mine. And my rack's a little smaller. If yours is bigger, maybe it would take up less, but it's not going to be significant enough where you're only going to have a small amount of thread. So I use my impact driver, 10mm deep well socket, zip these bad boys on there pretty quick. It was a little awkward getting it in there, as you can imagine. You might have all this hardware rattling around loose. I just put these 2 on first and just finger tightened them. Again, these are the nylon lock nuts, and they also have regular lock washers as well, so it's not coming off. I put them on there loose, slid this in, kind of held it, cinched them down one at a time. It wasn't that big of a deal. And then I added these on once it was in place. So we got her in. I do have to finish the wiring, and then we will take it outside and spread some grass seed in the yard, see how that goes. Alright, so as promised, I just wanted to give you a look at how I wired this stuff up. So pretty straightforward in this mess of wiring I got going on down here. So here's the plug-in that's going to stay permanently attached to the battery. The cord here that I spliced in the other end of the plug, it runs up nicely between the seat. Got the on-off switch right here. It's easy enough to use. Turn this guy off and on. It's handy right there in the center. Lots of slack here, so even if you're using this on a side-by-side or something like that, it should work just fine. And then the plug here that it came with from the factory is similar kind of flat 2-pole plug that I used is what's going on there. So that's it. We've got it mounted up. We got some seed to spread, so let's go get with it. All right, here we go. We got it mounted, we got it wired, we got some seed. Let's see what happens. This is ryegrass that I throw out here in this area of my yard in the wintertime just to control erosion because the grass hasn't really come in yet. So this is a bag from last year. It's a pretty good sized seed, for grass seed anyway. I'm going to dump just a little bit in just to see how it works first and then come back and add some more. I'm not getting any leakage, which is good. I was worried about that. So that's in there okay. Put our cover on. I'm going to set this about halfway right now just because I don't know what else to do with it. and we'll see. I got it in front. It's easier to reach the lever, and I can see where the seed's going. So that was my thinking on that. All right, let's see what happens. I'm gonna move it and then turn it on. Worked pretty good. Switch it off. You can probably see me reaching up. I adjusted a couple times. At first I thought it was spraying too much seed. Then I dialed it back. I thought, well, that's not enough. I got a lot of this seed. It's cheap. And I'm just top sowing it, so it's probably not going to germinate very well. But yeah, this beats the snot out of hand broadcasting it or pushing a thing. And a push thing, like I've been using in the past, I can't use that at the farm, right? So it's irrelevant. But yeah, I'm happy with this. This is going to work. It's going to be good around the house. It's going to be good out at the farm when we're planting for dove and ducks next year. So that's it. Hey, thanks for watching along. This was probably a little bit longer video than I normally do, but I thought you guys might like to see how this equipment works, and maybe it'll work out for you. All right, thanks for watching. I'm Bruce, and this is Foul Play Outdoors.